Comfortable at work? Do you feel like your political views, etc., could put you in a bad position one way or the other? Let's have this conversation because it's something that's driving me nuts, and I'm hearing it more and more and more, and I'm seeing it firsthand, and it's disturbing. Let's get into it.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
I don't want you to ride. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the streets. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad.
Has the whole world gone crazy? Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
You have the luxury of not knowing what I know.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
All right. So, hello everyone. I'm going to give this a minute or two just because I didn't start with a ticker today. I just kind of came straight at it, and because the topic that I wanted to cover, and Jack and I are still going to be live tomorrow. So every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, Jack and I will be live going over topics. And tomorrow, I'm actually looking forward to hitting up this Russian economic summit that just took place that nobody's talking about because the United States decided not to go. But today I wanted to cover. I was going to do this as a recorded video, and work and life got in the way, and I couldn't do it. So I just decided to come live, and it's really it's about woke culture, right? In corporate America specifically. So with all of this madness going on, how are you, Ann? Welcome. And by the way, we're streaming to YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Rumble simultaneously. So you may see comments popping up from all over the place. I will try and highlight and get to as many as I can because I definitely want feedback from people on this because it's something that's been bothering me for a long time, and now it's kind of I've been hearing it from a lot of my friends who work for large corporations. I work for a large corporation. Recently, just yesterday actually, my brother called me regarding Tucker. I guess there was an episode of Tucker where there was someone on there named Steve Miller who works for this organization, and I can play a clip of it in a moment, so you can get the information in case you're in this scenario at work where they're actually now going, like, this organization is now going to be supplying free legal services to anyone who is dealing with racism at work from the standpoint of, I guess you'd call it reverse racism, whatever they want to call it. But apparently, like, he's pulled out that Morgan Stanley and a bunch of other high end companies are actually putting out job positions for people as long as they're not white. Like, it's dumbfounding to think that something like that could actually exist. But the idea that they're going to set up a legal fund for it tells me that it almost assuredly does. And I don't think anyone hearing that is even shocked, right? I don't even think anyone hearing that is even shocked. And that's a problem, right? Because we should all be stunned by that, but we're not stunned, are we? No, we're kind of, with this illusion, right? This narrative of diversity, as opposed to unity that's been getting put out there. This has become common culture, and I know that there are a lot of people who are working in these environments who know that this is ridiculous and know that there's favoritism and things of that nature going on, and know, I don't even care if you personally don't like straight white males. Like, maybe you got a thing against us. I don't know. But, like, it sounds almost, there's a part of it where people don't want to come off like they're whining, but the other part of it is that it's very real. And it's very real right now in a way that's terrifying. And it's not just white people, Asians as well. This Morgan Stanley position that this guy Stephen Miller was talking about, like, it's not open to Asians. So, like, it's crazy that, it's crazy. And because those groups are not in the narrative, right? It's like transgenderism. Why are they pushing this so crazy? We're talking about 0.6% of the population, but they're trying to actually literally actively increase that population, and they're hurting our children to do it. And like, so all of these things are going on, and forever we have all just sat back quietly and just let and I know that anyone watching this, whether it's now or later, if you're working in a large corporate environment, right, you keep your mouth shut. All right, you keep your mouth shut. I mean, I personally, a couple years back was on a conference call where they were just like one person. It was like all of these people, tons of images of people, and the conversation was telling about your basically telling your racial horror stories in life. And so like everyone's coming up talking about all of these times that white people have done them wrong. And I'm literally sitting there dialed in on the other white males on the call because I just want to see if they're having the same reaction that I'm having. And like, now, those that know me at work, and I'm not going to disclose where I work, but those that know me at work, they know that I am vocal and that I always speak, and that I always, I don't have any issues popping off at the mouth and calling something out for what it is. And I've done it a couple of times here. I haven't done it based on the weird trainings and stuff that we've taken, because I don't really see the benefit in doing that. Like, they're trying to get an ESG score, and that's really what that breaks down to. But like, the fact that there are employees in mass working around this country for large corporations who are, Anthony Pantanella here put up from Facebook, that being white are the minority. It's not even about the minority. It's really just about it's just about hatred over race. And this is in discrimination over race. And I know that a lot of people deal with this, so I wanted to jump on. I know I jumped on like last second out of nowhere, and no one saw it coming, so I'm only getting the 15 or so people that happen to see it pop up in their feed, and we're able, weren't involved in anything, and we're able to jump on. But I do want to get feedback from people, especially if there's someone watching who is working in a large corporate environment, to see what their feedback, like what their experience has been. Because I can tell you, the employees at as a whole all know it. And they all, even the young generation, so like we all kind of come around and think, oh well, it's generation X and up who sees this, and it's millennials down that don't. But it's not even really the case. Millennials see this. Millennials, by the way, by technical definition, are not, everyone calls everybody a millennial, but they're not necessarily generation. There's two generations after millennials at this point, and and it's crazy. So it sounds like Verizon. Yeah. So I mean, look, it's a large corporation thing that's going around. It's not just Morgan Stanley's. Goldman Sachs was this way. There are other ones that are this way, and it's one thing to have woke trainings and make everybody take these ridiculous woke trainings, but now it's getting to the point where they're actually hiring. Like it's been this way for a while, but for Morgan Stanley to come out in the open with that and say, and have a job position that's not available to Asians or white people, like, what the hell world are we living in? And the reason why I came on is because I want people to understand that you have to speak. That not speaking is the problem. I mean, the problem obviously, it's not like you're guilty for not speaking, but the whole idea, when all of these things happen, and all, men are racing against women in sports, and these crazy things happen, like, people have to speak out. We cannot just sit around and let them continue to do these things. We can't do it. I talked to everybody back when about that Solomon Ash study, and really it's been replicated dozens of times, and it involves, I don't even know if I might even have a graphic here on it, but like, it involves basically a set of lines. They're all different sizes, and then there's another card with another set of lines. One of the lines is the same size. Well, I'm sorry, one card has one line on it. The other card has like 4 or 5 lines, and one of them is identical, and it's obvious which one is which. But they have 6 or 7 people that are actors, and one person who's the subject, and the actors all are trained to take the wrong answer. They all pick the wrong answer intentionally to see if it affects the subject's response. And the way that the numbers broke down were that, and this is generally upheld, give or take 5% or so, but it's generally held up that around 40%, I'm sorry, 30% clearly were like, this is the wrong answer. We're not giving that answer. A is the right answer. You all said B, you're all crazy. So 30% like got it. And then another 30% not only gave the wrong answer, but after the test and it was explained to them what was going on, they were still insisting they had the right answer. Okay. And then in the middle, you had 40%. And this is where my focus is. It's the 40% in the middle who knew that it was the wrong answer. So they acknowledged that, like, yes, they consciously gave the wrong answer, whatever, because they didn't want to break from the group. Maybe some of them might have said things like, well, if everybody else was saying it, then maybe I'm wrong. But my point is, and the reason for telling that story again, is that 40%, the danger in that 40%, right? Who's in that 40%? The people who calmly wore masks everywhere, even though even though it was ridiculous, even though they knew that when you stand up to take it off and sit down to put it on and stand up to take it off, like it's one thing to comply because you want to do your grocery shopping. It's something else to like willingly accept it and not speak when it's time to be spoken. Okay, and that's where I'm getting at, because when you don't speak, all right, and when you don't say anything and you just blindly comply, what the end result of that is the 30% of that group who like swore they were given the right answer and were completely mass formated and just absolutely insist that they were right, even though it's obvious that they were played. Okay. That group looks to the 40% who are also complying, and they think 70% are in agreement with them. And those who are speaking and telling the truth then become the ostracized ones. Okay, they then become the one who's the weird guy, the one who's, just arguing for the sake of arguing. They're the one who, shut up and comply, right? And they find this validation not from the 30% that they're in. They find it from the 40% who knew that it was wrong and just did it anyway because they just want to move on. All right? Because this being in that 40%, I'm not telling you you need to go, kick a door down if someone puts a required mask sign up or something. Just don't be complicit. Like just don't like, if someone does ask you about it, tell them it's bullshit. Like tell them that it's BS. Like don't just say it's okay. And a message to middle management in all of these corporations, okay? In all of them. Because many of you are getting promoted these days for reasons that may not be your skill set, all right? Or that you were the most talented person for the job. Because it's clear that the requirements in most of these the larger the corporation, the more important the ESG score. And look, I ain't telling you don't take it, make the most of it if you get an opportunity. I get it, but the fact of the matter is, you need to be conscious of what's going on. And if you are conscious, and most of you are, and you know what's going on the ground level and what's stirring there, you need to speak as well. You need to speak as well. As a matter of fact, you're probably more important than anyone else. Because what you notice is that private companies that are owned, they don't engage in this stuff. They don't do this stuff. Private companies where there's an actual owner and it's not left to a board, because a CEO, folks, is not an owner. Like a CEO is an employee. All right. And it's important that everybody understands that too. It's not the same animal. The fact that In-N-Out and Chick-fil-A and these types of companies, Bed Bath and Beyond, I think it was, or Hobby Lobby, whatever it was, like these companies have owners, and these owners make those decisions. Whereas the CEO, it's a different animal. He can be terminated and will be terminated if he doesn't follow the board. Who has someone sitting on almost every board of every major company? The WEF. Okay, that's just reality. Okay, They're there to make sure there's ESG compliance. They're there to make sure that company is remaining woke and pumping in that poisonous message into their culture. Okay, and as more and more people who disagree with it fear for their jobs, fear for being outed for loving America and such. Okay, that's not something that you out somebody for. That's something that you need to defend. That's something that you need to actively defend somebody in doing. And it was important to me to make that point. Okay, now here I'm going to play a clip that I pulled from Tucker, just for the standpoint of giving people the information. If you happen to be in that situation and you feel like, you're Asian, you're white, you're one of the non-preferred races that exist today, then if you're in that boat and you feel like something, like you're being treated differently, if there's something going on, you're not getting a promotion because it's not promoting diversity by promoting you, or something along those lines, then this guy is probably where you should go. Now, I'm not sure if you can hear. As a matter of fact, you probably can't. Hold on. I will correct that. It wouldn't be a live broadcast without that type of error happening. So here it is again. All right, so I don't know if you caught that, but we'll do it again. Hold on. All right, so that's the foundation. You can go there. Apply with them. They will provide actual legal counsel for you, to do that. So, to go ahead and defend you in those cases. So, I mean, it may not be something you want to go legal with until it becomes a termination situation, but I definitely want everybody to realize that that is something that an option that you have if you're in that scenario. And how are you, Donald McClay? Good to see you on. We're just doing a quick hit here, on woke culture in corporate America. Um, this Look, I mean, I haven't seen anybody jump on, working for one of these companies. So, and again, I did kind of shock everyone by just blitzing and showing up without announcement. So I understand that too. But even if you're watching this after the fact, I do want to hear. I do want to hear your story. Maybe you're middle management. Maybe you're in that position. Maybe you're trying to move yourself up the corporate ladder and you're seeing all of this madness happen, and maybe you're doing it and you're Asian and you're having issues getting up there, or you're white and you can't, you're a white male, no less. God forbid you're a straight white male, then you may never get promoted, right? And in some of these companies anyway. And for them to start a legal fund on this, I'm 100% sure that there this is in more companies than just one. So, this is something that I wanted to help get the word out on because I thought it was important, right? And, as much as I preach Article 5 and Convention of States and taking our country back, that too, this is the same concept. You need to be able, to have the cojones to speak, right? And it's the same concept. You need to get up and you need to say something and you need to do something. It's really no different, right? In essence, if we're going to take this country back, it's going to happen from the inside. Now, that guy, Stephen Miller, turned around and said, well, if we're going to take our country back, it's going to happen in the courts. I disagree. I disagree. You get to the courts and you're at the whim of whatever do you get as a judge. He could be a good judge or she could be a good judge, or they could be some living Constitution activist who thinks that, you know what, you shouldn't have the job because you're white. And we'll come up with some bizarre instance to try and take that away. And don't let them do that, right? So where it starts and where it gets done is not the courts, it's with us. It's with us coming up from underneath, coming up from grassroots, and coming up and speaking our minds. And when you see an injustice happen, you cannot just sit back and watch that happen. If you're of faith, you most certainly can't sit back and watch that happen. And even if you're not of faith, you still have to wake up with yourself in the morning. The fact of the matter is, you need to do the right thing. I had no intention of making this a really long rant or a really long piece, but I did want to get on and at least get it on the record where I stand with this. And you know, for those that are out there, you're not alone. Okay, you're not alone. And the fact of the matter is, you know, they can call it whatever they want, equity, diversity, it's racism. It is what it is. It is what it is. When a company like Morgan Stanley puts a job out there, and they're not the only one, all right, when they put a job application out or job rec out there and basically tell you that white people need not apply, Asian people need not apply, that's not diversity. That's racism. And we should be calling it that publicly, right? And I get it. You know, it's easy for you to say, but look, I say it. And believe me, I got a lot of money on the line too. I'm supporting my family too. I say it all the time. And anyone who's ever worked with me and ever, or I've worked for, knows that I will have no problem saying it. Like this right here, this persona that ends up on the screen is 100% genuine. 100%. There's not one part of me that doesn't 100% believe in what I say, and there's not one part of me that has a problem saying it to anyone at any time, ever. All right. So I'm not seeing a ton of people on it. Again, I know that I kind of jumped in and it's 9:30, almost 10 o'clock on the East Coast where we do have a lot of our followers. But for the 10 or 50 people that are on, I appreciate you. I just wanted to get that message out because it is important to me. And it's something that came up recently that I wanted to address. I was hoping to grab a few more people on that would be in this environment that could go ahead and speak to it. But, you know, that wasn't the case, which is fine. Again, tomorrow, Jack and I will be on. We'll be talking about this Russian Economic Forum, as well as some other things. We'll probably bring this up again as well. I'm sure Jack has a lot on his mind as well. So, you know, again, tune in tomorrow. Just be aware we're not putting out the event notifications for the time being because we're having issues with our Facebook links. For some reason, the software that's being used drops the Facebook link right before we go live with it, and then the entire thing has to be recreated and it becomes a nightmare. But I just want to make sure that I'm letting everybody know it's going to be every single Wednesday. All right, folks. Thank you. Leave your comments, and then let's have this conversation. Let's take it to the comment room and have this conversation there because it's a real one to have, and I still want to hear what people think. So next time I'll try and plan it out a little better where I'm not hitting my East Coast people up at bedtime. All right. Have a great day, guys. See you tomorrow.
And like that,